What's good, everybody? Episode 27, Victory and Vices podcast. Me, Rory Spooner, Fluey Louie, aka James Beck, beside me. He's struggling a little bit today with the flu, so please bear with us. Hope you all had a happy new year. Again, thanks to everybody that's been subscribing on YouTube. We've had, I think it's close to 500 plays so far. So it doesn't seem like an awful lot, but to us it is. So it means the world. IG is up. That's running. That's looking terrific. Looking very slick, if I do say so myself. And the Twitter page is firing along as normal. So we'll kick off with the fixtures that have just previously gone. With the Christmas schedule, it's very hectic, as you're all aware. We're trying to find time to edit and record and live our best lives at the same time. It isn't easy. Busy. It's very busy. Yeah. So we'll go over the last set of fixtures. And we'll round that up. And then, if anybody has any questions, they can tweet us for the next video, which we're probably going to do the end of this week as well. So with today being the new year, let's get cracking and let's start the year as we left the other year, kicking ass and taking names. So the winter break. Now, that was a very popular topic in the media lately. Now, a lot of people do think there should be a winter break because it's so hectic. It is a podcaster's nightmare and a dream at the same time. Yeah. Because content-wise, we have just ridiculous amount to talk about, but very little time to put it out. Do you think there should be a winter break?
Yes.
You agree, yeah?
Yeah, we spoke about this, I think, like I said, during the World Cup.
It came up, definitely came up.
Yeah, it definitely got mentioned. And I think it's something a lot of managers have started asking for. I think you mentioned, was it Nuno?
Nuno brought it up, actually, the Wolves manager. So if anybody hasn't seen it, go back and watch the interview. And he's asked about, do you enjoy this many fixtures? And whilst he said it, it's enjoyable, it's football, that's what he lives for, it is a bit of a headache. And I can understand why. It's pretty daunting for a foreign manager who's used to having 2 or 3 weeks off to come in and just get battered over Christmas.
Yeah, the Christmas schedule in the Premier League is insane. Now, for us people that like to watch a lot of football over the Christmas period, you would argue that there's absolutely nothing better. I know Reece would agree, and most football fans would agree as well. You get to go out, you get to socialise, you get to watch a lot of football.
That's the good aspect of it, yeah.
It's the great side of it. But for the people actually involved in football, the players, the managers, the clubs themselves, it is probably the most horrendously hectic schedule you could possibly wish for. Yeah. And managers are probably just praying that they don't get injuries, and because the amount of games that they play, it's just about kind of trying to, I know the results come first, okay, but trying to get through the Christmas period without having too many injuries is got to be the next best priority after the result, isn't it?
It has, yeah.
But you look at the other, most of the top other European leagues that take the winter break, and they benefit from it hugely.
Yeah, I saw Sergio Ramos in Seville. I think Jadon Sancho was in Dubai. They will be very fresh coming back for the Champions League games. Ready for what the world is going to throw at them next year, because the run-in's going to be tough. Yeah, and you would have some managers that might argue that they might not be coming to it as match fit, or they wouldn't have the run of games as such, but the overall just fitness level and just general well-being will just be so much better. You'll be more relaxed. Yeah, I think mentally as well it's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get that mental rest. If you ever have a little bit of time off work and you come away for like a week, 10 days, you just go back feeling so refreshed.
And even as well, you see how often footballers are in the media and the press in the limelight all the time. They can't really get away from it. But if they can sort of go on holiday for a couple of weeks, yes, you're still ultimately probably going to be snapped, or there's going to be something about you, but it's generally just a calmer time, especially, and spend time with their family over Christmas and things like that as well. And then you can either make the link or not, but if you look at the Champions League winners over the last how many years, when was the last English side that won the Champions League?
Was it United or Chelsea? It
was Chelsea, wasn't it? I think
it was Di Matteo's Chelsea.
Yeah, was it 2012? I want to say, or something around there.
That would have. When did Mata join United? Because Mata was in that Chelsea side, wasn't he? I can't remember exactly.
I think it was 2012ish.
It was them. Yeah, it was them.
When Drogba was his last proper year.
Yeah, against Bayern. Yeah.
So you're talking, 6-7 years ago now. Yes, you could say Liverpool did make the final, but ultimately, they didn't then go on to win it. You look at teams like Madrid, Bayern Munich. I've won it. And then Madrid won the last 3, haven't they?
Yeah, 3 of the last. Was it 3 of the last 4 or 4 of the last 5? Something like that.
And Juventus always get far. Bayern Munich get far. Barcelona.
It's
get
the same
far,
people all the time, isn't it? Yeah.
And all those teams and those leagues have winter breaks. So I don't
proof
think
is in the pudding.
Yeah, I don't think it takes a genius to work at that. We could probably benefit from the same.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. Again, let us know your opinions, guys, on it. I personally think there should be a winter break, even if it is only maybe for a week or 10 days. But ultimately money talks, doesn't it? So that's how it is. But yeah, segueing into the fixtures, Liverpool-Arsenal is the game we have to start with because it was ultimately the game of the weekend. Liverpool march on. I've said twice already, I can't keep repeating it, I think it's going to be their year. I just don't see how anyone is going to stop them. They have all the momentum in the world. I know that Arsenal side have their deficiencies, right, and they're not that great, and we'll go over that in a moment actually, but man, Liverpool was so good. Yeah,
they were very, so very impressive. I'm going to say that Thursday is the D-Day.
Oh, Thursday! If you got stuff planned Thursday, cancel it because you want to be watching this game. Rearrange, turn off your phone, sit there, enjoy it, absorb it, because games like that, they tend to be pretty special.
Yeah, and it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a very edgy encounter, or it's going to be just so many goals. Because when those two teams come together, there's always goals. Yeah. I don't want to jinx that now, okay? But there's always goals when Liverpool play City. And
it's going to be 0-0 now, isn't it? It's going to be 0-0.
But
probably get abandoned.
Match abandoned.
Yeah.
But I said, I think it was on the last episode, that if Liverpool win that, it's lights out. I think it's definitely lights out.
I think even if they draw, I think the momentum stays with them. City have to win. If City don't win, I think Liverpool
a draw
wouldn't
be so bad actually. But if City do win, it's like me and Reece said, it's about how Liverpool react to that, because they haven't experienced the feeling of losing this season.
Well, interesting that we talk about Liverpool and not experience the feeling of losing. One of the reasons I think they do so well, especially at home, is because Anfield, especially under the lights, is an absolute fortress. Yeah. To me, it's the toughest place you can go. I wanted to ask you that. Do you think that is the toughest place for any team to go? Because in terms of atmosphere and how volatile it is and how much they get behind the side, Reece brought up an interesting point in the last podcast that he's been to the Etihad a few times and it's basically like a library. I went to watch Swansea-Wigan, which is not a Premier League game. It's barely a Championship game, might I add. And that was like a library at times down there as well. Mm-hmm. It was crap. The atmosphere in a lot of grounds, especially around the top level teams, are really poor, especially when you look at the foreign teams. But then Anfield under the lights, I'm no Liverpool fan by the way, but there's something about it where they are a 12th man, and I think that really helps.
Definitely. I think in terms of, you could maybe, if you went back say 5, 6, 7 years ago, you would bring the United argument into that, because Old Trafford used to be a fortress. As we know, it's not anymore.
No,
definitely,
not at all.
It's far from it. So currently, I think Liverpool is by far the hardest away fixture for any side, because it's not just the fact that the team play brilliant football. It's intimidating.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
The Cop ends and just how loud they are in the atmosphere. It's very, very intimidating. And you could maybe compare it to City, because if you can look at it, I think, from two ways, because I think Liverpool are unbeaten in 33 games now at Anfield.
Oh, is it really? I haven't got the exact stat, but
I think I read something earlier on. And up until recently, City's was, I think, either similar or even longer run. But I don't think that's where you can look at on how good their unbeaten runs are. But like Reece said, it's like a library. It's half empty. So it's the team that's keeping that unbeaten record. And when the teams come and play there, they're not so much afraid of the atmosphere. They're just being outplayed by a brilliant side. Whereas at Anfield, you have both factors, which is the quality of the opposition. And if you somehow manage to overcome or match the quality, even for certain parts of the game, the crowd will just get the better of you. Yeah,
it's a hell of a place to go right now. I think back to that Man City game in the Champions League where they went to Liverpool and Liverpool absolutely destroyed them. And I remember coming away from watching that thinking, yes, Liverpool were good, but the atmosphere, they absolutely crucified Man City. Even the bus going in, I don't know if people remember it, but they absolutely destroyed the Man City bus. And you can't condone it in the sense that you don't want anybody to get hurt. But in terms of the overall intimidation factor, that will 100. Get into players' heads. That'll psych them out.
You go back as far as when Liverpool were in the Europa League, I believe it was, against Borussia Dortmund. Remember that? And I can't remember what the score was in Dortmund, but I think they were behind, and Dortmund came to Anfield and they were winning 3-1. And Liverpool went on to win 4-3. So like a Lovren and Sacco both scored really late goals.
Yeah.
It was like 92nd and 94th. Incredible it was. But the noise, once Liverpool got the 3-3, because they brought it back to 3-2, I think, and then they got the third goal in like the 91st minute, and the noise just went up to 100. The racket was so loud, and you could see on the Dortmund players' faces at 3-3.
They shit themselves.
They knew
that
even though it was in the 92nd or 93rd minute already, that another goal was coming.
I got that impression the other day against Napoli. Do you know Napoli sort of needed to only win by X amount? I just remember thinking Liverpool won't lose this. Liverpool
needed
will
a
do
score.
this. And that's it. Yeah, that intimidation factor is huge. So Liverpool again, I totally think they're going to go on and win it.
It's interesting because I say how big this game is, right? Because if they do beat City, okay, and it puts them, 10 points clear?
I've got the table here now, actually. Let's have a little look.
This is then their run of fixtures after that, okay?
Yeah.
So they are away to Brighton.
Yeah.
Home to Palace.
Yeah.
Home to Leicester. Away to West Ham. Home to Bournemouth. And then they
could pull away again.
Yeah, they got a tough run against Bayern and United and Everton,
Bayern maybe, yeah.
On paper. So if they do beat City, then you would expect them to then go on and win the next 3 or 4 games after that, probably comfortably. And if they beat City, that would be the biggest boost of momentum, because they've literally beaten everyone in the league. Then they're probably going to think that nobody can touch us.
I think that now, to be honest with you. I just think I think it was Jake Humphreys on BT. He tweeted out the other day that something about it just feels different, and I said the same thing on the last podcast. Something about it just feels different this year.
I think you have to just look at the fact that they've never been this much clear either. I don't think.
Yeah.
They've been top of Christmas a couple of times, but I'm sure it's only by about 2 or 3 points. So they've always known that a team is within a win or so away from them. But at the moment, they know they can lose at least 2 games. And
still have room for manoeuvre, yeah.
And if they beat City on Thursday, then they would have to lose 4 games. And that's one heck of a cushion to have. So I think that there's just more of an air of invincibility about them, just because how much of a gap they could have. But I think, yourself included, I think that if you're going to write City off, then you're foolish, because we've seen bigger leads being chased up before. We have.
I don't want to write them off, by the way. That's just my gut feeling that I've got.
Newcastle United had, I want to say, 10 to 12 points over United. That year they had
that Newcastle side were all right. Though. They weren't as good as that Liverpool team.
Arsenal caught the great United side.
But again, that was an Arsenal side that had Will Todd, Petit, Vieira, Henry, I'm assuming, was there as well, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, again, they're superior sides, though.
It can be done.
It can be done, but...
I'm not going to say it yet, but you've got my word on this episode now. If they beat them Thursday, on the next episode, I will say...
You will acknowledge
I will acknowledge it's game over and lights are out.
All right,
but
there we are.
The game itself...
Remember this moment. Remember it.
Guilty.
Remember it.
So, the game itself, after Liverpool played United, and they did us over 3-1 very, very comfortably.
Yeah.
The Liverpool players probably thought to themselves, we won't have an easier game all season. Step up Arsenal.
Wow.
Hold my beer. As such. They went 1-0 up as well, and I remember watching it with Reece, and we thought, here we go. And Reece's exact words were, I know he listened to this and he'll just giggle, because he said to me, told you Arsenal could be the ones to beat Liverpool, see, when they were 1-0 up.
Not a chance.
I was like,
Yeah.
And I know that you would argue that the first goal, the Firmino one, was very unlucky, or was lucky for Liverpool, in terms of it took a few ricochets back into his path, and it was a
yeah.
That was where the luck ended for Liverpool, because after that moment, they got the equaliser, they got the momentum, and straight after that, they just absolutely tore through them.
We all knew Arsenal had the deficiencies, right? And I've got a piece here for Arsenal fans that I hope they'll find interesting, because Arsenal are a very interesting club right now. So, Lichtsteiner, he was brought in to add experience to the defence. Yet he's added a sense of calamity, because you either age like wine or you age like milk, right? So you either become a Sauvignon Blanc or semi-skimmed milk. He's a fucking pint of semi-skimmed milk, this guy is, and he's going off by the day. I get why they bought him, right? Because you want an understudy, you want someone to come in, add a bit of experience to an aging squad. But he's not that guy anymore. If he was, he'd still be at Juventus. You right, but you okay? Not going to die in us?
Just fine. Yeah,
you okay? Yeah, but if he was any good, he'd still be at Juventus. There's Arsenal players there that just simply aren't good enough. Mustafi, not good enough. Koscielny, not good enough. Lichtsteiner, not good enough. Monreal, I take as a backup left back. Bellerin, I like as a first choice right back. Jury's out on Leno. I'd still give him another season just to let him settle in. And if he still isn't doing what he should be doing after 2 seasons, I'd bin him off them. But Arsenal just lack quality.
Yeah, with Leno as well, goalkeepers, they deserve a little bit more of a bedding-in period.
Yeah.
Especially if they are having games where they're making really good saves, which he has done at times. You know, when De Gea first came to United, he made a few quite poor errors.
A few errors, yeah.
And if you're going to, if that's the type of keeper that you want long-term, then you do have to give more time.
You have to work with him, yeah.
But players like Lichtsteiner, I remember saying to Reece, I mentioned it last week when they signed him, I thought, I think this is a bit too much for him.
What's his name? Papadopoulos.
Yeah.
Him as well.
Yeah.
Socrates. He's just so overrated. Again, if Dortmund had any ambition of having a top-class central defender, and they thought he was a top-class central defender, they'd have kept him.
Yeah, they wouldn't have sold him to Arsenal.
They wouldn't have sold him. They wouldn't have given him away to Arsenal for fuck all.
And you look at Koscielny as well. You know, he was once regarded as their best centre half.
Injuries have taken their toll on Koscielny,
and he doesn't look like the same player.
It's hard. He had one Achilles injury.
Yeah.
To be able to manoeuvre around the pitch and to be able to jump and get off the mark and sprint. Obviously, the Achilles is such an important part of an athlete's body. Once you do that and you're starting to reach, I think he must be around 30 now. It's only downhill after that. At some point, you have to cut your losses on him.
The Achilles that's the one thing you ideally would choose not to go out of any injury. Now, I certainly haven't ruptured or broke my Achilles, but I have bruised my Achilles. And that's nowhere near as painful as snapping it or rupturing it.
It's a hell of an injury.
The pain that I had from just bruising it is more than enough to warn me off an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
So to come back from rupturing your Achilles is a massive injury to come back from. I know some players have done it, but I think it's ruined more players' careers than players that have actually come back.
No, I'd agree.
So defensively, tell me something I don't know. That the last God knows how many years they've been all over the shop anyway. But to concede 5 again at Anfield, 4 in the first half as well. That's actually the 4th time they've conceded 4 goals in the first half. Arsenal in the Premier League, twice against Liverpool, once against United, 8-2.
Wow.
Back then,
yeah.
Back when we could do that.
Is this a throwback Thursday now, is it?
And then Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
So it's not even the, Emery's come in, and I said the last couple of episodes that, there was this air around the club that apparently they were doing so much better. But you look at how they've been lately, you look at their defence still, and you look at how they perform against the big sides, and it's pretty similar. Yes, they did okay at Old Trafford against United, but that was nothing really to do that against the way this United side were playing. They got pumped by City, pumped by, I think it was Liverpool or Chelsea earlier on in the season, and now this seems to be going back to how they were before. Do
you know what I will say though? I think there's a lot to be positive about for Arsenal fans. They all right, yeah, okay, they've had a bit of a drubbing, but they're a far more resolute side than the season before.
There are positives, and I'm certainly not slagging them off completely, but to the certain amount of Arsenal fans or just people in football out there that were sort of saying that this was a completely new Arsenal and they were so much changed, and the expectations were rising. I kind of always said, yes, they're doing well, but please just calm down.
Simmer down.
So and there's a few things that haven't quite changed at the moment, just like the game.
They haven't changed because change requires time.
Yeah.
And naturally, Emery only having one transfer window, I think it's very difficult for him to just implement everything he wants. Gary Neville said it best. He's going to need 2 or 3 seasons. And upon him having that time, you can then fully judge him and say, okay, Emery's done this, and this good. He's done this bad. Has he improved his Arsenal team? So giving him one window, and very limited money as well, might I add, it's very difficult to judge him. Watching Arsenal fan TV, I know there's a lot of people unhappy with Emery. And a lot of Arsenal fans on Twitter were Emery out, which I found bizarre, because what's he supposed to do? I mean, he inherited most of that team. The signings he's brought in, I don't like Socrates, like I've said. Leno's okay. Aubameyang's terrific.
Torreira's
excellent. Another great signing. So I would trust him with money in the transfer window, which we will come to in a moment because I don't think he'll get any. But just going back to Aubameyang, I don't know if you saw the stat about him. Do you see it about his touches?
Which one?
Aubameyang only had 13 touches during the game against Liverpool, and 6 of them were from the kickoff.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for that. Ultimately, he needs to be getting involved in the game more, but also they need to be giving him better service. So it's a combination of the two. So yeah, it's just an all-round really bad day at the office for Arsenal. My Arsenal piece extends to the transfer window because coming up, it'll probably be this weekend or the start of next week, me and Becky are going to do our transfer window videos. So we're going to pick 3 teams each from the top 6, and we're going to highlight signings that we think would improve them. Now, depending on who gets Arsenal, we can sort of throw out a variety of different names. Now, Stan Kroenke is the Arsenal owner.
Yeah.
And I've been away doing my research since the last podcast. Now, I wanted to give a quick segment on what Arsenal needs. So, financially, Stan Kroenke doesn't really like to spend. He has other passions elsewhere, which we'll go over in a moment. So, let's say Arsenal go, okay, we've identified what we need. We need 2 centre-backs, right? So, you want 2 quality centre-backs who are going to take you to the next level. You're realistically looking 60 million each, right, on a centre-half. So that's 120 million on centre-halves. Plus, you give them 2 5-year contracts, right? So you got one with a 5-year contract, one with a 5-year contract. Top centre-backs, they command big wages. We'll call it 8 million a season, give or take, right? It might be more, might be less, but for the purpose of this, we'll say 8 million. So you're handing out 2 8 million contracts, right? So you've got 120 in transfer fees. You've got 2 40 million 5-year contracts. So what's that? That's 120 plus 80. That's 200 million.
Yep.
Throw in agents' fees at, say, give or take 5 million each. That's a minimum. So Arsenal, for 2 centre-halves, Arsenal are going to have to commit to over £200 million. That's an awful lot of money for a club that doesn't like to spend. Now, this is where I move on and I sort of advance with the whole Stan Kroenke thing. Now, a lot of Arsenal fans will be aware of who he is. A lot of non-Arsenal fans, they probably won't have any interest, but we'll give you a little, segment on him anyway. Now, Stan Kroenke is an American businessman, very successful businessman, and he was the majority shareholder at Arsenal. He now owns, I think it's roughly about 100%. He bought out Alistair Usmanov. So he had, I think it was 69%. Yeah. Usmanov had 30-odd%.
Is Gazidis in there somewhere as well?
Gazidis was like a chief executive, I think. Okay. Yeah, but he's gone as well anyway. But yeah, so Stan Kroenke now essentially controls all of Arsenal Football Club. Now, you would think controlling all of Arsenal Football Club, he would be incredibly passionate about it. He'd be like, I want Arsenal to win. Here's some money. Let's make this happen. Wrong answer. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, for those of you who don't know him and what he's about, Stan Kroenke has other businesses and other sporting ventures in the world around us. Now, one of his main sporting ventures is the LA Rams. You ever heard of them before? You're an NFL fan?
No, I've heard of them.
So, basically, Los Angeles, as we can imagine, they want a successful football team, right? Not a soccer team, a football team. Now, the Rams were previously in, I don't know if it's St. Louis or St. Louis, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but then they've relocated back to LA. So just to give you a little indication of what he's working with. Now, he's built a new stadium in Inglewood in Los Angeles for the Rams, which initially cost $2.6 billion. So you can imagine, right, a stadium that cost $2.6 billion, a lot of that's coming out of Arsenal's transfer budget. It gets worse. Now, that $2.6 billion stadium, they didn't do the Big Shaq quick maths in it. No, they didn't. Because that is now approaching just under $5 billion. So that stadium is costing almost $5 billion to build. So bear in mind now, Stan Kroenke, Arsenal are crying out for at least a new back four. He isn't going to have any money to give Arsenal.
Is that all coming out of his pocket, though, do you reckon?
Well, put it this way, he's the owner, so the large majority of it will be coming from him. Now, he's worth around $8 billion. And just to give you another indication of his wealth, and his wealth is very vast. He just doesn't like spending it on Arsenal for some reason. In 2016, Stan Kroenke bought a ranch. So he bought a massive farm Guess how much he bought it for? It's the biggest ranch in the world.
About 500 million.
725 million. Now this has, I think it has something like over 30,000 farms in it, and it has. This is how mad it is, right? It has over 1,000 working oil wells.
Jesus.
Now, Stan, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'll do a little PSA on behalf of Arsenal fans. You need to get those oil wells pumping, because let me tell you, they need a new back four. He's buying farms, he's paying for stadiums, but he won't buy a new centre half. He just won't do it. Arsenal, when it comes to the transfer window, they will be the peasants of the top six. Even Spurs may spend more just to try and keep Pochettino. It's sad, because Arsenal fans, they pay a fucking awful lot of money, and they're getting mugged off.
They've got the most expensive season ticket in the league. You know.
Well, this is what I mean. Where's that money is going to stand in LA, to a ranch and to, you know, the LA Rams. And the LA Rams, FYI, aren't that successful either.
No, they're not the greatest side.
No, they're not. But I mean, ultimately, it's about LA having a football team, and that then he becomes Captain Big Dick, and he's like, okay, this is my show now. I run LA. He's no real interest in Arsenal, and that's why Arsenal fans get so frustrated. But what I will say is, I'd give Emery the benefit of the doubt on the basis that what's above him is just quite poisonous.
What I was going to say as well is, when he was appointed, Emery, do you think that he wouldn't have gone into his meetings when he was agreeing to become manager? He would have gone in with expectations and said that he wanted X amount of money. You would assume he wouldn't take on a job of that size without any sort of promises that he was going to be given X amount of transfer spending money.
It's difficult to say. It's really hard.
Assume, wouldn't you?
You would assume so, but ultimately things change over time, sort of budgets. I mean, ultimately they've gone and decided they want to build a new stadium in LA for just over 2 billion. That's risen by 3 billion. That money has to come from somewhere, and if it comes out of Arsenal's budget, does he really care? I don't think he does.
Well, it sounds like from what you've explained that his priorities lie a little bit further with the LA
100%, yeah,
and his ranch than they do with Arsenal Football Club. But it's going to be very interesting come January. If they sign anyone in January, you're probably looking at more the summer than anything else. But I think they will have some money to spend. How much did they spend on Socrates? Was it like 30 million it was?
I'm not entirely sure of the fee. I don't think it was an awful lot.
But not the amount of money that they need to be spending.
No, I mean, look, we're not talking Van Dijk money. We're not talking, even Victor Lindelof money probably. I mean, it was, from what I remember, it was relatively cheap.
Well, yeah, they've tried looking for quite quick fixes, Arsenal, over the years. They obviously, after Koscielny, they bought, was it Gabriel Paulista? Gabriel from, it was Villarreal. They bought Mustafi, now Socrates. I'm sure they bought one or two others as well.
Just a constant cycle of shit. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're sort of, when you said before, but they're shopping on the worst aisles.
Yeah, they shop in the little aisle, not the Tesco.
There ain't that money where when you're spending say 20 odd to 30 odd million on a centre half in 2018, 2019, or even 2017, it's just not the type of money that you need to be spending to be getting the top quality centre half.
No, look, sometimes you get what you pay for. Sometimes you'll pick up a bargain, right? But other times you're just going to get a lump of shit. Yeah. And that's what they've got.
I know that sounds stupid, and you go back 10 years ago, if you said to me that 10 years later you'd spend 35 to 40 million on a centre half and you'd get a pile of shit.
That's how the game's gone, though.
I wouldn't believe you, but yeah, you do need to, when United try and sign a centre half now, look how much Leicester tried wanting us to pay for Harry Maguire. Was it 50, 60, 70 million?
It was a lot of money for
Koulibaly. They're talking 80, 90 million.
Koulibaly is probably going to go, if you take into account agents' fees, transfer fees and wages,
well over
he'd be touching 200 million. Yeah. Comfortably. You think he'll probably be getting at United give 100 grand a week contracts to fucking to water boys. So United are going to give. You imagine what they're going to give a first choice centre half. He'll command easily almost 200k a week, and that's the problem Arsenal have, is that even if you get 260 million centre halves, your outlay is going to be touching potentially 250 million at some point. And I just don't think Stan Kroenke is going to commit to that when he has so much money going out elsewhere. And it's not like he's short of money. I just don't think he cares about Arsenal the way an Usmanov did. Arsenal fans, again, let us know your opinion on it. A lot of Arsenal fans who really know the club inside out, they know how much Usmanov cared about the club. He's from Russia. He's really passionate about football. He loved the club itself. But because he didn't have that majority stakeholder, or the majority amount of shares, he couldn't do anything about it. So
yeah. Well, like you said, Arsenal fans, give us put a comment in the in the section.
Yeah,
below.
let us know. IG, Twitter, YouTube, talk to us.
Yeah, let us know what you think, because or if you think that this is going to be a potential problem for the next few windows, next few seasons to come. Then let us know as well, because it's a big talking point, isn't it?
And any manager that then comes in is going to be hindered by that debt that's elsewhere. Yeah. I just think that it's an uphill task for Emery, and people, they need to have a degree of patience about it. Rome wasn't built in a day. Arsenal aren't going to be great again in a season.
Yeah.
Especially with Lichtsteiner at the back, might I add.
What I've just been saying about them, I've kind of slated them a little bit, but it's more just to bring the Arsenal fans who will let their expectations run ahead of themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to bring you back to where you need to be and understand, like you say, that this is a bigger project than perhaps what this brilliant start that they had might have said. It might have said otherwise.
The Arsenal, I'll call it the Arsenal redemption. The Arsenal redemption, I don't think will start and finish with Emery. I think Emery, it's going to be done in stages. So Emery will build his piece. He'll probably leave in a few seasons, hand it over to someone else. They'll build their piece, hand it over, and so forth and so on until they build all the way back up. I don't think Emery's going to start and finish the overhaul.
It could be like, it could go a similar way to United.
I think it will, yeah. I think it will. Ultimately, the expectations placed on him already seem to be way too high.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know, people. Tell us what you think. Me and Becky, our IG ats are going to be coming up now. So will the V&V ones. Make sure you follow them up. Add us on there. We got loads of clips of the episodes online, and we're sociable. We interact with everyone. So add us all up. We'll be back after this, and we got the best of the rest. Okay, people, we are back. We spent most of Christmas singing Memphis Depay's song No Love, which we're still trying to learn the words to. So if anybody does translate from Dutch to English, let us know, because
drop it in the comments.
Yeah, it's our go-to song right now. Do you know the chorus? No love. Yeah. It's a vibe, in it. I still like it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, let's not digress. So we'll go on to Wolves and Tottenham, because again, excellent result for Wolves. But it might be one of the most Spursy things I've ever seen. You're in a title race, and you have a good shot at a title race, and you lose 3-1 at home to a newly promoted side. Your captain, who just had an honour off the Queen, goes and trips over some fresh air as well. Now, I wanted to ask you very quickly about that, because you put up an interesting video, or you retweeted an interesting video about Spurs and them falling over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say dive in, because it's alleged. But do you reckon there's a diving culture at Spurs?
I'm going to say yes.
Spurs fans are going to kick your ass, man.
But what I will say is that they're not the only club.
No, everyone does it, yeah.
So I think there's a diving culture in football and in the Premier League.
They've just been highlighted more, do you reckon?
Possibly, yeah. But they do seem to have, you got Ali and Kane and Son, who... And I'm not just saying this, and if you go on my Twitter page as well, and you'll see what I've retweeted, there is more than enough evidence. It's not even just people just taking the piss. There's evidence of Son, Ali and Kane on multiple occasions in different matches diving, and it slows it down. It gives multiple angles, and they're clearly diving. Now, Ashley Young has done it, and Salah has been accused of doing it. There's other players that do it, and we know a lot of players do it, but I think there's definitely a culture building at Spurs, and I didn't think that Kane was like that at all.
It was harsh, though. I mean, was it really a dive by Kane, do you reckon?
Well,
I think he does get caught at the end.
On Match of the Day, wasn't it? Danny Murphy called it a dive. And no, Danny Murphy said it wasn't a dive, and Shearer straight away said he thinks it was a dive. So ultimately, these sort of things are going to be up to your individual perception of it.
It's subjective, isn't it? Yeah.
And when it's slowed down, there's always that argument as well: is it enough contact to make you go down? Or because some people say, oh, he's had contact, and you would argue, like me and Reece said, The defender's given him the option to go down.
Yeah.
But even in that case, if you run past me and I brush you, because there's contact, that's not always enough for you to go down at all. So it can still be a dive. But just in modern day football, if there is contact, it's harder for the referee.
It is hard. I don't think it's in Kane's nature, to be honest with you.
No, but there are a couple of clips which show him going down. And again, I stress he definitely is not the only one.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it all too often now that now they're getting a little bit of contact. You forget, Kane's not exactly a small lad.
He's a big guy, yeah.
He's a bit of a unit, And I'd imagine someone like him who's pretty strong, and he's a good target man, he's good in the air, and he's a bit of a handful for defender sometimes. And him getting a little bit of contact and going down that easy, it doesn't sit that well with me. So I'm not a big fan of it, just like a lot of people aren't, but it's very difficult to separate now, isn't it? Especially when there's a little bit of contact.
Especially if you're running at speed, and like you say, you are a bit of a unit. Just one clip is gonna knock you off balance, and it may only be slight, but that might just be enough to tip you the other way. And then at which point it's subjective. Some people will go, oh, that's a clear dive, and then other people will go, well, what's he supposed to do?
But I mean, I've played, definitely not at the same level of football, but I've played a lot of football, 6-a-side, 11-a-side, and very rarely go down. And even when you get clipped, manage to stay on your feet.
Is that because you're too naive, do you reckon?
Is it naive, or is it just honest sportsmanship?
Well, this is it. This is where the line is blurred.
I think if I picture it myself, right? If I'm playing football like I have done in the past, and you sort of you got the ball at feet, and you sort of trying to go around a couple of players, or you're running onto a pass or whatever. If I think of a time where I've been genuinely clipped and I start to maybe stumble, but I know that I can stay on my feet, then I would always choose to stay on my feet. But it's at what point, as a professional footballer, as you're stumbling, do you take the option to go down? And is it morally right that if you know that you could probably stay on your feet, that you go down?
No, I mean, there's a moral issue, but FYI, I go down every time. I'm the polar opposite of you. I'm going down, I'm holding my leg, I'm rolling around. I'm doing the Neymar roll. I'm going to do the Neymar roll. I'm going to roll over minimum 3 times to try and prove my point. I probably limp away as well. I don't give a fuck. I'm a win at all costs kind of guy, though. I don't give a fuck.
And
I got that Sergio Ramos mentality. I don't give a fuck who gets hurt. If I get hurt, we're doing this. We're coming away with a win.
Yeah, I mean, and there are players out there that share that mentality, evidently. I don't agree with it, but it's the way that it is at the moment. The other thing I wanted to mention to you as well, right, is Harry Kane gets the honour from the Queen.
Yes. Was it an OBE or MBE?
MBE, I think
an
it
MBE was it, yeah.
So, my first question is, why?
He's England captain, I suppose.
And they beat Tunisia, Panama, Colombia and Sweden in a World Cup. And they got the nation
Let us know
going.
what you think, people. I mean, yeah.
I also retweeted something as well about Gareth Bale actually, and I mean properly spearheading Wales to a semi-final of a major
and he's
tournament.
won a stack load of trophies along the way.
Like 3 or 4 Champions Leagues, La Ligas,
Super Cups, World Club, World Club Cups,
Copa del Rey's.
Yeah.
Nothing comes of it.
I think his time will come though. I think he will get it when
Possibly,
he retires.
But Twitter and just the world of football and just England.
Does Rooney have an MB or an OB? I don't think he does he?
I don't actually know.
I don't think he does. Not to the best of my knowledge.
When I heard that he was getting an MB, I just couldn't believe it. There's nothing to justify it. Nothing at all.
I would say, how old's Kane now? He's 20...
He's 24, is he?
I don't know how old he is. I'd say if this was in 10 years' time, roughly around retirement age or after he's retired, then that would be terrific. Give him the OBE, give him an MBE.
If his career continues in this path,
I think it will continue on that trajectory anyway. But I would give it to him as England captain and someone who's made significant contributions to football. But right now it feels a little like they've jumped the gun a little bit. Yeah,
it's like okay, you did okay for once at a major tournament, and you were the captain. Yes, you had golden boot, but most of the goals were from penalties or set pieces. So I find it difficult to justify it, but it's just something that kind of irritated me a little bit. But
well, his goal on the weekend, for anybody who hasn't seen it, because we've had some cracking goals over the Christmas period, that goal was unreal. On his weaker foot, technique, power, pace, accuracy, vision. I could use a lot of adjectives to describe it.
So we spent 5 minutes, talking about the maybe not so positive sides about Harry Kane. The goal itself,
his brilliance isn't even in question right now.
His left peg is a wand. It is a wand, and no keeper in the world saves that, because it's just got so much power as well as direction and placement that it was untouchable. But
just wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough, and like you said, Spurs, they moved up very temporarily into second place.
So it's so Spurs that it just pisses me off.
They literally got so high that they had a nosebleed. And they thought, fuck,
down.
we don't want to be up here.
Yeah.
Let's come back down where somewhere warm and fuzzy and comfy in third or fourth place. And I think that's where they'll stay now. They had their chance and they literally blew it.
I know. Credit to Wolves though. Again, Wolves fans should be very proud of what they saw at Wembley. Yeah. They showed character. They showed tremendous pace on the break to soak up all the Spurs pressure and hit them on the counter-attack. It was a great plan.
Spurs didn't pay.
Nuno is a great manager, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I don't think Spurs, like other sides, especially the big six as well, don't seem to pay enough respect to how good Wolves are on the counter-attack.
So much pace, though. I didn't realise how quick some of these players are. Yeah. I knew Traore was quick.
Costa came on. He was quick. Jimenez is quick. A couple of names elude me as well. But
Morgan Gibbs White, if Reece is watching as well, might I add.
Yep, came on, made a difference.
Was very good.
And that's the first time Pochettino as well has lost against a newly promoted side. In 27 games, the Spurs
is it really?
played against a newly promoted side. That's the first time he's lost. So that would back up something that we've said in previous episodes, that Spurs are consistent against certain sides, and you don't see them lose games against the lower end of the teams of the table. So it's the first time that's happened. But a quick shout out to Wolves. They've only lost 2 of their 7 games against the big six, and they've actually,
that's outstanding. And
they haven't sort of tasted defeat in any of their 3 away games against the big six.
Have they not?
So they beat Spurs. I want to say they drew against United, didn't they, in Old Trafford?
They did, yeah, they did.
And I think it's Arsenal they drew at the Emirates as well.
I can't remember that game off the top of my head, but
they're a different animal, and against the top, against top 6 sides, so they do pretty well anyway.
Other than the team that will probably eventually win the Premier League, so we'll say Liverpool or City, they would be my team of the season after the eventual winner. Would you say that's a fair shout?
Yeah, providing that they don't sort of tail off on a really bad run, and
I think even if they do, they've still a lot to be proud of.
But they've definitely got loads to be proud of, and I think even Wolves fans that may be listening, you let us know in the comments below as well. But have this Wolves side exceeded your expectations as Wolves fans at the moment?
Have they peaked? Maybe.
Yeah. Do you think it can get better if you are to finish maybe in the top 10 or just outside it? Can you develop on that and build on that again?
I'd be interested to see if they could actually. Yeah.
Because it seems the money is there to invest. So if they do, we mentioned in other episodes, when you're sort of around about the top 10, top 8, how would you push that on further? And they're just going to have to keep investing. I
think for them, what they need is like a 5-year plan. And if I was managing Wolves, or if I was owning Wolves, I just want them to be in the Premier League for 5 seasons, establish themselves there, and then go, okay, we'll build beyond that point. I wouldn't put any expectations on anything right now, because as we've seen with promoted sides, you can go up, you can go down, you can fluctuate, you may peak too soon, and it's not easy to maintain that level over the course of 4, 5, 6 seasons. So if you can do that and stay in the Premier League and build, that's terrific. That's a great start.
And just to sort of answer the question that you asked as well, I think if they do sort of stay on this path for the rest of the season, then they could be the team of the season.
I think, Joe, given their budget and the fact that they're newly promoted, I would say so. Other than the eventual winners of the Premier League.
But what else can they do?
There's nothing else they can do.
If you're a top 6 side or a big 6 side, and you've got a game coming up, whether it's home or away to Wolves, you're in for a tough day.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not looking forward to that.
No, not at all. Totally agree.
Gone are the days at the moment where you would associate at just an easy 3 points against Wolves.
There's no free lunches, like I said, other than maybe Huddersfield.
You do well to get 1 against them at the moment. So, big shout out to Wolves at the moment.
Yeah, shout out to Wolves. We'll go on to the United game. The United game, there's not an awful lot to say about Bournemouth, because it's a bit of a free hit. They can go to Old Trafford, win, lose or draw. There's no real expectations. Like we said, they're going to be okay. So Bournemouth, we don't necessarily need to cover in too much depth. Apparently, the only person who's really mad at that is Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen is somewhere he's somewhere in Hollywood, and he's with Jonah Hill, and they're just sparking up a blunt right now as we speak. Yeah. And he's just like, man, did you see that Bournemouth game?
Bournemouth.
And Jonah Hill's looking at him like, what? Like, well, who?
They just absolutely seething the fact they conceded 5 against Spurs and now 4 against United. That's 9 in 2 games. You know,
again, they're free hits. I wouldn't worry.
Yeah, what I will say is on paper it was a slight step up from Huddersfield and Cardiff. Mm-hmm. They're a team with a lot more talent.
That I agree with totally.
Together. And they're a team that a lot higher up in the table than both Huddersfield and Cardiff, and a team that is capable of more than Huddersfield and Cardiff. So we hear a lot about on Twitter, United getting ahead of themselves, and the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and whatnot, and they've only
United fans, FYI, need to calm it down.
Just reel it in.
Just reel it in. Yeah.
But what we'll say is that it was a slightly harder test, and they still did come through it. Yes, they didn't keep a clean sheet. Reece said, "You definitely won't keep a clean sheet," and he was right. And United have the worst clean sheet record joint with Fulham. They've only kept 2 clean sheets this season. Premier Inn
has more clean sheets than Manchester United.
That's very true. So it is a little bit of a worry, and it is an issue that you need to address, especially now with the Spurs game not too far away.
Spurs, I'm going to call in now. Spurs beat United comfortably.
I don't know.
Only because United defensively are so shambolic.
I'm not gonna make a prediction just yet, and I want to see a couple more games.
If Phil Jones is playing, which I imagine he might be, then you may as well go down the bookies and lump on for Spurs.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, but there's definitely defensive issues still. For as good as for as much as we say the shackles are off and all the phrases that we've heard, but we do look a little bit vulnerable. But like I said, you just got to play your strengths and attack. Mm-hmm. Pogba looks a different player.
He looks transformed. I got some Pogba stats quick actually, just to mention them.
I got one as well. Go on, you go.
I did have them. Where are we here? Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came back, Paul Pogba has the most assists, the most goals, the most shots on target, the most touches, and the most chances created. So he has justified his stance in a sense that he wanted Mourinho to play attacking football. Paul Pogba wanted a manager who can get the best out of him. He's got that right now. I said on the episode after Mourinho left that those players have nowhere to hide right now. And I imagine a few of them will be exposed, which they will. People like Eric Bailly, come to him in a minute. But yeah, Pogba, salute to him. I mean, he's doing his job very, very well. He's enjoying his job again, which I think is very important. And he's showcasing why he's a very good player.
Yeah, and another stat as well with Paul Pogba, that he's the first United player to get back-to-back braces since Wayne Rooney in 2012.
Really? He's unlucky not to get the hat-trick as well.
Very unlucky.
Very unlucky, yeah.
I know we talked about this before and saying that he potentially down tools. I know Reece like to use that phrase, and that players, it's disgraceful how under Mourinho he doesn't perform like this, and under Solskjaer he does, and it's a very interesting debate because sometimes you just have to acknowledge that if you're being employed by someone who you really, really don't like and they make you miserable,
it happens, yeah,
and that they don't allow you to maybe work or perform the way that you want to do your job, then sometimes that will have a detrimental effect. And a lot of people will slag Pogba off and say, where's he been hiding for the first 4 months of this season? Sometimes, whilst I understand that stance on it, it isn't as easy as that sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's very true.
And he is now starting to show that maybe what the things that he's been saying will prove him right, because the Paul Pogba that we're seeing is the Paul Pogba you expect when you pay £92 million.
Yeah.
And now, will it last? We'll see.
Yeah, I would judge Paul Pogba at the end of the season now.
And when we come, not the Newcastle game, the Spurs game is where I want to see him contributing, and I want to see assists, I want to see goals, or at least a performance. Because if he does it against Newcastle now and in the Spurs game he goes missing,
then it's all for nothing essentially.
Then it's all well and good, isn't it, doing against a smaller team? So, not to judge him too soon yet, but at the moment, he's showing the signs of, people have said about him in the past when he played for France and played for Juventus, that he is on his day, or he's in the mix of the best midfield player in the world. And you see in those signs now, and if he is to continue playing like this, then he would start to justify that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But what's also happening as well is you see Rashford at the moment
flourishing as well.
That assist for the
even Lukaku looked leaner. Maybe it was just me. Again, let us know your opinions on it, right? But Lukaku looked like he lost weight. As weird as that sounds, he looked so much sharper.
He's been on a compassionate leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he hasn't been eating properly or whether he's just trimmed down a little bit.
Death will do things to your appetite, and.
But the United side, they're a side with talent. They're not spending too much time talking about this, but you've got your Lingards, your Martials, Lukaku's, Pogba's, Sanchez. Even he's still yet to come back, and
that'll be interesting to see how they even try and fit him in that side.
Solskjaer said something about it will be very good for Sanchez watching him interchange with the Lingards, Rashfords, Pogba's at the moment because of how well that their movement is. And the thing is about these players before, they've had so much quality, whereas even under Mourinho and under Van Gaal, they'll always have moments. So like your Rashfords and Martial's, Pogba's, they always have moments where they could always score wonder goals out from their ability alone. But what you're seeing at the moment is they're on the same wavelength. The movement between them, the interchange and everything is there. That wasn't there
The
before.
telepathy is there, yeah.
And it's that chemistry between the players which is making the difference at the moment.
I'm sure I read somewhere, again, that Solskjaer said he was working on attacking patterns. I find it interesting that Mourinho wouldn't work on them. But Solskjaer being a striker, I suppose, when you scored goals at the highest level, that would come naturally to you. So maybe it's a bit more easy to relay. I don't know how it all works, but that's weird, isn't it? That they wouldn't practice any attacking drills or attacking patterns because they looked so disjointed. Like there was nothing. It was piss when Mourinho was there, and it got to that stage where it was like, well, what are you doing on the training pitch?
Well, Mourinho's Mr. Pragmatic, isn't he? And maybe he thinks that his style of playing will the way that he likes to set up that the players of that ability, the attacking side of it, will take care of itself as and when the situations arrive during the game. So so we don't know what goes on in the training pitches, obviously, but it would seem when we have examples where players miss penalties or they blaze balls over the top, you think, well, surely they practice shooting or surely they practice penalties, or they just they must have time aside in training sessions where they all just practicing just hitting balls at the goals, do you know what I mean, with keepers and shooting all the time. But then you hear some interviews where certain managers on certain football programs say, well, you don't actually spend that much time on shooting specific drills and things like that. So it is really interesting what you think the clubs actually practice and managers on the training pitch to what they probably do. But yeah, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you would how good his finishing is.
Probably one of the best finishers the Premier League's ever seen.
So if he's going to be trying to bring some of that to the table and getting them to think maybe the way he used to think, the runs that he used to make, then it can't be a bad thing.
Who would you have up top now? Would you go with a Rashford or a Lukaku?
I think at the moment you've got to stick with Rashford. I'm
of that opinion. I don't know who was commentating on that game on the weekend, but they made a really interesting point.
It's Carragher, wasn't it?
Was it Carragher?
Yeah.
It was. It might have been Carragher that made the point, actually. Again, a lot of people may have heard it, they may not have heard it, but what he was saying is they spent so much money on Lukaku that when he was under Mourinho, even when he wasn't playing well, Mourinho felt like he had to play him, whereas now Solskjaer's only in on a temporary basis. He's like, well, I don't care. Whoever's in form, I'll play. And Rashford right now is the form guy. And if you take him out to that side, I think a lot of Manchester United fans would be upset, and a lot of people would feel sorry for Rashford.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
The thing is, he has earned it, and he's playing exceptionally well at the moment. He's scoring goals, he's assisting goals as well. And we've not complained, but United fans and people in football have mentioned in the past that Rashford is a great talent and he could go on to big things, but he's not quite consistent. And at the moment, he's showing that exact consistency that people have asked of him. So, because Lukaku's back now, to bring him into the starting 11 wouldn't be very justified, and it would stunt Rashford's momentum as well. What I think needs to happen is they need to stick with Rashford until he maybe drops off, because Lukaku is a very good option to have.
He's a very, very good option. His goal scoring record stacks up, by the way. I know Lukaku, we tease Lukaku, as does everyone else, because there is times when it's a bit like watching an elephant walking along an ice rink. Yeah. But his goal scoring record from a young age is right up there. And again, he scored a goal. It was probably offside, in fairness, but he's shown when you give him chances, he will score at the top level.
And I think at a club like Manchester United, you have to have that competition, because it was almost under Mourinho in last season that his place in the starting 11, if he was fit, was a given.
Yeah.
And like I say, when this style of football that United are playing at the moment, so this this fluid attacking football with pace and movement, if you're playing a side where that's not working, or we can't seem to break a decent side down, then 60-70 minute mark in a game, if Lukaku's on the bench, you want to change it up, then he's a brilliant option.
It's a great option.
And if he's going to, like Solskjaer was famous for, if he's going to come on and keep scoring goals, then he will justify his own start. Because if they're playing Rashford and it's not going as planned, and Lukaku keeps coming on and scoring goals like he did against Bournemouth, then he, like I said, he'll justify his own chance anyway. So he'll have to work his way back in. And if he is serious about being a big player, then that's exactly what he'll do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when you're at a top club, competition is key. Speaking of competition at top clubs, now the competition for the centre-half spot at United is not exactly great. I'm on record as saying I'm a Victor Lindelof fan. I think he's by far and away the best centre-half United have. He's not the fastest, but he's very composed. He's great at playing the ball out to the back. Defensively, I do think he is actually quite good. I like the thought of having Lindelof and a more experienced centre-half alongside him. Now, Eric Bailly, when you're 4-1 up, right, game management is key.
Blows my mind.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's so stupid. I put a tweet out back in April on my Twitter account, and it said that Eric Bailly is rash, he's indecisive, and he's basically the African Phil Jones. And I stick by it. He is the African Phil Jones. He's so bad, it's unbelievable. He is just rash, indecisive. He's incredibly injury prone, right, for someone who looks so fit and is so young. He doesn't know how to manage games. I just think to myself, you got to get bombed out in the summer. You have to. He offers nothing to that United team. And all the United fans on Twitter as well, they go mad for Eric Bailly. They're like, oh, he's going to be the next Ferdinand or Vidic and he's our best centre-half. What game are you all watching? Are you actually watching the same game as me? The guy has me on pins. You don't know what he's going to do next. You're 4-1 up and you do a death lunge on your opponent. Like, what are you doing? All you have to do is stand up.
He's going to suplex someone.
Honest to God. Like, all you had to do was just stand there. Even if he goes round you, you could take a yellow. It's not, it's not a do or die. It's not like there's one goal in it. It's a 3 zip advantage. This guy is just a liability.
The frustration is with Eric Bailly is that he actually does possess a lot of physical attributes that would make him a top centre-half.
That I agree with.
He's very strong. He's very, very good. Very, very strong, very athletic, and he's very quick. He's got a great leap on him, but that's unfortunately where it ends. Now, he has the ability to outpace most centre-halves. We talk about Virgil van Dijk's pace, how much of an asset that is, because that's not something that a lot of centre-halves have, his pace. So he's got that. He's got the physical presence, and he's built like a fucking brick shit house as well.
Yeah.
And he's very aggressive, and like I say, he's very good in the air as well. He can head the ball. But his footballing knowledge and understanding, his game awareness is non-existent.
His I would go as far as to say his technique for someone at the top level is very limited.
Yeah.
His footballing IQ is very limited. That's the difference between him and a Van Dijk. You can tell a Van Dijk has a footballing brain. As weird as that sounds, and his technique is far superior. Eric Bailly has to be bombed out. I would say Chris Smalling has to be bombed out, but they just give him a new contract, so they can't. Jones needs to be bombed out. Marcus Rojo needs to be bombed out. Young needs to be bombed out. Darmian needs to be bombed out. Valencia needs to be bombed out. The scout that picked them needs to be bombed out. United needs serious work in defence, because other than Luke Shaw and De Gea, and I give Dalot, not Lindelof, yeah. I give them the benefit of the doubt, but that's it.
Yeah, Valencia as well, I just think that it's not so much he's so poor, I just think his time has come.
Because, he's run his race,
The last couple of seasons, Valencia has been a decent servant for United. But I think it's more sort of age. It's just sort of, it's on the wrong side now for Valencia. But with Eric Bailly, it's the indiscipline. And like you say, the word rash. On so many occasions, he's had unnecessary red cards or even unnecessary yellow cards. And you, like you say, you watch him in games and you see him go in. And by the way, there's been so many fouls and occasions as well that he's got away with yellow and red cards that he maybe should have had. And you just thinking, so why are you doing that?
Was it the game against Brighton away where he lunged in and he gave away the penalty?
Yeah.
That I remember watching that thinking, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
He's a clown and he shouldn't be at Manchester United Football Club.
I don't know what runs through his head, but he has these baffling moments of just stupidity.
Even there was a challenge in the game. Did you see how high his foot was?
Yes.
You know, if that made contact,
Should have been
that's
red
a straight red.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing this in a game where you're 4-1 up. You imagine him in a high pressure environment against a PSG or Juventus or someone. Bro, they'd tear him to bits. He's not cut out for top level football, and the sooner Manchester United fans, especially on Twitter, you know, the Twitter stands, they love Eric Bailly, the sooner they realise that, the better. That's my take on it anyway.
I'll be honest, when I first saw him, and you know, I didn't watch that much of him for Villarreal, I'll be honest, but
I didn't either.
All you can do is you can look at the videos. And when he first signed for United, he looked like a good prospect. He looked quick, and you know, before he was able to show his lack of discipline. And in the early days, I remember saying to Reece as well, I said, this guy looks like he could be some player because, like I say, he has certain attributes which you need in a good centre half. But it's not going to plan at all.
No, it's not. He's not developed like people thought he would. He's definitely not a top level player. Would you sell him in the summer? Yay or nay?
Well, I think what you have to look at is we need centre-half upgrades and big ones and fast. Now, you can't sell them all in one go because that's a bit of a bedding-in period that's needed.
Well, if you think you're going to keep... You're probably going to keep Lindelof and Smalling.
The question
so that's
is,
two.
who would you sell first? If you're going to sell one,
I would sell
need
three.
A backup regardless.
Well, put it this way. This is what I would do. You've got Lindelof and Smalling. Axel Tuanzebe is at Villa. I'd bring him back. So you'd have him, you'd have Smalling, you'd have Lindelof, you'd have Tuanzebe, that's 3. And I'd still go and get 2 other centre-halves as well. So I'd probably have, if you could get Koulibaly, I'd get him.
So let's operate on the basis that for the moment, they go 1 in, 1 out first.
Okay.
So say they do early business.
Right.
So they get rid of 1 centre-half and then to bring 1 in. So who's the first one out the door? You're saying Bailly's the first one? Or Jones?
No, Bailly.
Or Rojo?
Bailly. I keep Rojo ahead of Bailly because he's a left-sided centre-back. He can play left back, but he's no good at left back. And Jones, I would just keep ahead of Bailly, just because.
So you go and Bailly first, bring in a top centre half, maybe another, and then Jones.
Bailly out the door. Potentially, I mean, in a dream world, you'd say Koulibaly, but he'll be almost impossible to get. I don't know the situation with Alderweireld and his contract.
He's extended a year, isn't he, as well?
Is there some type of clause in it this summer, though, where he's available for like a certain sum of money, did I read? Or maybe I read that wrong. I'm not entirely sure. So, let us know. I might be wrong. Spurs fans, United fans, keep us posted on it. But, yeah, for me, Bailly would be gone. Like I said, I think you at United now, you can get away with selling 3 and going from there, the 3 centre-halves. Jones, Rojo and
Only
Bailly.
if you bring in 2 in for me. Has to be 2 in.
Well, if you bring in Tuanzebe, he's technically counted as a youth product as well. So, and he's done very well at Villa this season.
The thing is, when you're fighting on all fronts in the Champions League, the Premier League, some of the cups as well, sometimes you can have 1 or 2, injuries in defence, and if you haven't got the reinforcements, whether they're good reinforcements or not, then you're delving into the reserve setup then. So you don't want to be doing that. So I'm definitely happy for at least 1 to leave. So I would say the 2 need to go.
I'd put a lot of people's heads on the chopping block. There would be a mass.
Mr. Ruthless.
There'd be a fucking mass exodus if I had my way. But again, that'll be down to new manager. Maybe a new manager will look at him like a Pochettino and go, "Oh, I actually really like that guy. I see potential in him." Yeah. So we don't know. But anyway. Again, we'll go to a quick interval, guys. Add us up, IG, Twitter. So it's at VMV Podcast on IG and Twitter. And me and Becky, we'll have our ads up now. We'll be back shortly, and we'll go over the rest of the fixtures. Alright, we're back. So let's go over the other fixtures then. We'll start with Watford Newcastle, because Reece has requested that. Shout out to Reece. Okay. Good to have you back, Arcade, when you were here. So we'll see you, same time next Christmas. With the Newcastle game, I noticed Rondon has a pair of shoulders in him. He is a diesel hench-looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, whoever is supplying Newcastle with kit, you're going to have to get a size up for that boy. Because I did not realise how big he was.
He's a lump.
He's an absolute unit.
Yeah.
Like, my God. Like, the guy, when he scored his goal, all I could see was shoulders. That's all I could see. The guy is massive. But, he could be a real force, man. Do you know, if he actually got his arse in gear? Because he has a bit of technique. And he can clearly finish. If he applied himself correctly, if he's listening, Rondon, do as I say, you'll go straight to the top.
Yeah.
Do as I say.
questions
Don't do as
asked.
I do as I say. Don't do as I do, because I ain't near the top.
You ain't going anywhere.
I ain't going anywhere, but you will, son, let me tell you. Yeah. But, so that guy's got potential. In a struggling Newcastle side, he is going to be the key.
Yeah.
Because they need goals to stay up.
He's their weapon. There's no other player at the moment that's contributing really anything like Rondon is for Newcastle.
Yeah.
When they got rid of Mitrovic, I know Benitez and Mitrovic didn't seem to get along for whatever reason, because you know that Mitrovic is equally just as much of a unit.
Oh yeah.
And he can play ball as well. But what they did was they got one out and they got a similar kind of player in. Would you agree? They have similar qualities.
Yeah, they're not too dissimilar. Yeah, I think maybe technically Mitrovic is a bit better, but yeah, the qualities are there. Yeah,
but you would maybe then argue that Rondon might be slightly better in the air.
I think Rondon might be quicker as well.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. Newcastle fans, let us know. I might be wrong.
They played against Liverpool in the previous game, I think it was, and they got beaten 4-0.
Yeah,
but if you look back in that game, there was many a good ball that Richie put in the box, and who was waiting for them, Hosselu. And he had chances where the ball came to his head and he put them wide or didn't do too much with them. And you replace Hosselu with Rondon, and I think he might even score some of those goals, some of the chances
I think
that
you
they
would,
had.
yeah.
And they totally have to play to his strengths if they want to stay well clear of the relegation zone and get anywhere near sort of 12th, 13th place. Or maybe
keep him fit, get him firing, and I think you're looking at a decent finish.
When he's not starting or playing, they look clueless. Newcastle.
Yeah, toothless. Yeah. Reese asked us an interesting question in the WhatsApp group. He wanted us to bring it up. Now, Newcastle, apparently there was some type of takeover that was due. I was unaware of this, but then I don't follow Newcastle that close. Any idea who it would have been?
I can't remember who it was, but I knew there was something going on
really
behind the scenes, and it was apparently a little bit further along than any takeover news in the past. And there was a certain level of optimism from Newcastle fans, up to a certain point, and more recently, where they actually thought this could happen. Because Mike Ashley was coming out and saying a few different things, and actually saying that he was really, it was within his interest to get this sort of done as soon as possible, and he was actively looking to get it sorted. For whatever reason, Reece could, and maybe other Newcastle fans as well, could maybe shed a little bit more light on the situation, but it doesn't seem to be going ahead. Yeah,
it's fallen through. Apparently there's no money to spend in January either. Reese's question was, with the reported takeover being off and the lack of funds in January, at what point does Benitez leave? Now, as I said to Vecchi earlier on, I'd give it till the end of the season. I'd try and keep Newcastle safe, just so that's on my CV. But even if he left now, he could leave with some type of distinction. So yeah, I'd just stay till the end of the season. I call it quits then. Because he's not going to get another club mid-term. If he does leave Newcastle in the summer and he keeps them up, there'll be plenty of options for him. That's my opinion anyway.
His CV is already very good anyway. So we know what he did at Liverpool. We know what he did at Valencia. I think he won La Liga with Valencia as well.
I want to say yes.
And I think he got them to the Champions League final or a semi-final. He then did, as I say, very well with Liverpool. When he came into Chelsea, he won the Europa League with them and took them back into the Champions League. So his CV is very, very good. Now, we give Pochettino a lot of credit for what he's done with no signings and where he's got them to. And I think that in maybe a slightly different dynamic, but Benitez, for what he did with them last season with pretty much no money to spend, and what he's doing with them this season, he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get enough credit because of where Newcastle are on the table. It just doesn't attract as much attention. And the fact that he managed to get them away from, not just away from relegation, but I think they finished 12th, 13th, 14th somewhere, or maybe it might have been closer to 10th.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But where they finished was well clear of relegation in the end. And for him to do that with the squad that he has, now I'm not saying he has the worst squad in the league, because I would maybe Huddersfield fans would argue
I think they would. Yeah, they would
some
debate
other
that a
funds
lot
as well. But it's certainly in the bottom 4 or 5 teams in the league now. If he keeps them, like I say, clear of relegation this season and anywhere between maybe 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, then I think he's done an excellent job once again.
Yeah.
Now, if the dynamic of the club doesn't change, there's no takeover, there's no money to spend, once again, I think that he's justified now
in walking away.
Him leaving and going to take a better, more exciting job.
Yeah,
again.
Totally agree.
So to answer your question, Reece, I think, like we said, that would be the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think the end of the season's perfect time for him to move on. Doucouré for Watford was linked with PSG the other day, which I found interesting because I think he's a solid Premier League player, but that step up to a PSG
too
team,
much.
Do you think it's too much?
Yeah, way too much. Where's he going to get in there?
Well, this is it. I don't know. I'm assuming they're only trying to buy him because is he French? I think should.
He sounds it.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about Doucouré other than seeing him play a few times for Watford. He's a solid player, but again, that step up might be a little bit too much.
He's been on the bench a couple of times recently. I know he came out and said that he's not used to being on the bench.
Yeah, he was rested more on the weekend, I think just due to the schedule Watford made. I think it was 6 changes, and that's sort of messed up the rhythm that they had because I fancied them to beat Newcastle. Again, I didn't think Newcastle would get anything out of it, but it seems Newcastle took advantage of the changes that were made, and they got themselves a very good point. But Newcastle, fingers crossed they'll be alright again. I think the large majority of the people who watch Premier League football would want Newcastle to be in the Premier League. It's a great city, great place, great people, and historically it's a great club. So I don't see why anyone wouldn't.
I think they'll be okay. Largely down to, as I said, Benitez. He's probably the main reason, and maybe Rondon as well if he stays fit.
Yeah.
For those are probably the 2 most important people at that club. Dubravka as well, give a shout out to him because he's a very good keeper and a very good signing. But aside from that, there's not that much for Newcastle to shout about. So I think they'll be okay.
Cool. All right, cool. We'll move on to Leicester, Cardiff. This is an interesting segue, actually, because you may have heard this the other week. You may not have heard it. Some people, again, may know. Speaking of PSG, did you know that Maurizio Pochettino and Sol Bamba both played in defence of PSG at the same time?
No, shut up.
I swear to God. Shut up. I promise you this is true.
He's like 34, though, isn't he, Sol Bamba?
Yeah.
Or 33, so...
Yeah.
But, no...
There you have it. It's a small world, people.
What a pairing. It's
a small world. So yeah, I found that out the other day. I'm assuming it's true. I don't want to be spreading fake news or any type of lies, but it was on. I'm sure it was on Match of the Day where I heard it. Now I sort of took a step back and went, Sol Bamba.
Trying to picture where that would have happened. Yeah.
I'm trying to think why Sol Bamba was ever at PSG, but then I remember they were a really small club to start with.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
You're going to Google it, yeah.
There we are. No,
feel free to Google it while I sort of continue with this. Leicester, they lost the game to a wonder strike by Kamara. It was probably one of the goals of the season. I mean, he literally stopped it with his studs. No backlift. Flew over Kasper Schmeichel into the top corner. It's about the one place he could have put it where... realistically, Schmeichel just couldn't save it. It's an excellent win for Cardiff. For Leicester, they'll come away very disappointed because
it's a huge win.
They'll have wanted to get at least a draw out of it. I mean, given the fact that they'd had such good results previously, they would have wanted 3 points. Again, like I say, a draw over the Christmas period wouldn't have been the worst. But to come away with nothing and to lose in the 92nd minute is gut-wrenching.
Yeah, and that's Cardiff's first away win of the season, isn't it, as well? So
yeah.
They were doing all right in terms of home form, and they've won a few games at home, and the next big issue for them was trying to get something on the road, and they've finally done that as well now, and that's actually their 3rd away Premier League clean sheet this season, and in the whole entirety of their last Premier League campaign in 2013 they only managed 3 the whole season.
Yeah.
So the signs of actual Cardiff progress, I didn't think I'd say this, and as we've said in past episodes, we pretty much wrote them off to go down when they were sitting bottom of the table, bottom in almost every stat. They could yet still go down, but at the moment they are fighting for their lives.
They're doing okay,
They're doing okay, and that was an absolutely terrific strike.
They're a very scrappy side, and that goal was... it was the one bit of quality that they've really showcased this season. The interesting stat that was on the BBC website, shout out to the BBC as well for putting it out. Basically, they analysed sequence of of or sequences of passes, so 10 or more passes. Now, in terms of teams that can put together 10 or more passes, Cardiff were bottom. They were on 34 sequences, and the next team that was higher than them was Newcastle on 78. So basically, since the start of the season, there's only ever been 10 sequences of play where Cardiff there's only been 34 times where there have been 10 or more passes that they've strung together.
It's not many, is it?
It's not, and Newcastle are essentially double what they're on. So that Cardiff side, whilst there's a lot of fight in them, there's still a lot of quality lacking, and as the run-in comes in, that might hinder them a little bit.
They're not a good football inside. We can't give them too much credit for that, but I say about United playing to their strengths with their attacking talent.
That's what Cardiff are doing.
Cardiff played to their strengths. They aim to get a lot from set pieces.
They're a lot more direct,
scrappy second balls, long balls up. That one that Kamara ended up scoring, that was a scrappy sequence of play.
Yeah.
And a lot of their goals, are like that. But if that's their strength, then you got to give them credit for it, because
whatever works. If it gets you to W, then
it's like Junior Hoylett a couple of weeks ago. They don't often have moments of magic where flair players are doing stuff like that. He got them a couple of goals.
Seems to be happening more often now, though.
Yeah,
Hoylett and Camarasa.
But if you're persistent and you're hard working and you ride your luck a little bit, sometimes that these things will come up. So shout out to Cardiff at the moment. They're doing. I have to admit, if there's any Cardiff fans listening, I'll be honest, you're doing a lot better than what I thought you would have done.
4 points clear of safety as we speak. As we record today, Fulham have actually lost. So if Cardiff can go and get another win now, they'll be moving on again.
Indeed. But with Sol Bamba,
are we going back to this now?
Just for a brief moment, he had one appearance for PSG in 2004 to 2006. He was in their youth setup from 1996 to 2004, but in the senior team, he had one appearance.
I don't know, maybe he played once with Pochettino, or maybe they were in the same squad together.
Yeah, I was saying that. I wonder if it's that one appearance where they played together. That's a great stat, isn't it?
Yeah, that kind of flummoxed me that someone would find that. When I heard it, I was like, nah, it can't be true. And I was going to bring it up actually the other day, but I didn't get a chance. But not much to say about Leicester. Leicester will be fine. We've been over them in a lot of depth previously. Yeah. Cardiff, excellent win for them. They're out there flying the flag for Wales right now, so more power to them. In terms of the next fixture that we'll cover, then let's have a little look here. Just double checking them now. Who have we got? There we go. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll look at Brighton Everton.
Okay.
Because Everton, for a team that want to be contesting the top 8 and want to push into the top 6, they need to be winning those types of games.
In the words of Paul Merson, they're like a bag of revels.
Explain.
So, you know eating revels?
I know, but I'm just curious how Merson relayed it to people.
Pretty much like that. He just said that.
Oh, he did. He didn't elaborate on it, did he? No.
Not as such. I kind of knew where he was going with it. They're just such an unpredictable side at the moment.
Don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mentioned the other day that if they'd had beaten, I can't remember who it was they played, but if they'd have won, they'd have gone 7th, but they lost and they went 12th.
I would have gone with a Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yes,
but Merson, it's all right, I suppose. Yeah,
it's just. They've lost again today now, Everton. And obviously by the time this comes out, people the fixtures will know the results anyway.
Yeah,
but
we'll have these fixtures that are the New Year's fixtures, and the other fixtures we're going to do them at the end of the week. So don't worry, they'll be out.
So they've lost to Brighton and they've lost to Leicester, at home to Leicester as well. So Marco Silva, it's a bit of a weird one this season because he has had quite a lot of praise at times for the football that they've
and
played.
Rightly so sometimes. Yeah.
But he's dropping, you would say, unnecessary points at times, because 1 minute they're 7th, then they're 12th, then they're 9th, and they just can't seem to build up any sort of consistency.
Yeah, that extra push to take them up is just missing right now. Is that due to quality of player, or maybe a lack of proper management?
You look at their side 1 to 11. It's not a bad side.
This is the thing. It's a very good side.
We mentioned Mina and Luca Digne and
Kurt Zuma's another good player.
Seamus Coleman, Zuma. They've got Sigurdsson,
Walcott. I'm not saying Toshin.
Bernard, and I can't think of the whole sort of setup at the moment, but they have good players. and they're really struggling to put just a set of results together at the moment.
Yeah.
And I haven't got my coaching badges or nothing as such. So I don't know what's going behind the scenes, but Brighton were just by far the better side. They created more chances. Yes, you could say that maybe they were unlucky. Zuma hit the crossbar. Richarlison had a shot save which went on to hit the post as well. But too many times, for as good as that back four looks on paper, they were exposed. Set pieces, they look very vulnerable. Jordan Pickford, as we've said before, doesn't fill me with an awful lot of confidence.
Same, yeah.
He makes a couple of saves and he looks a little bit ropey. So, great win for Brighton as well, just to point that out, because at home they seem to pick up the large majority of their points. So, we've mentioned in the past, Brighton fans as well might remember that how important your home form is, especially if you're not going to pick up that many points on the road. And they're a bit of a force at I can't remember what the stadium is called.
It's the Amex.
Amex, is it? Yeah.
Amex.
At the Amex, they're a bit of a difficult proposition, I would say.
It says here they've actually gained 33 of their 43 points this calendar year at home.
Yeah.
Which tells you everything you need to know, and which is, a step in the right direction. We always say to teams like Brighton, maintain your home form, and everything else will be all right.
Yep.
So, you can't knock them at all. I mean, just looking at, at the stats from the game itself, I'm just bringing them up here quick. Let's have a little look. There we go. So Brighton, they had less possession. They actually had less shots on target as well, but they were just more effective throughout.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. They were more clinical, they were more ruthless, more effective, and Everton will go over them in a bit more depth again in the next episode, having lost again today, but...
The weird thing about Everton is, again, as you said, they've lost again today, but they'll play fixtures now in the coming weeks where they'll probably beat decent sides.
They'll look like world beaters, yeah.
And I just don't understand them that much at the moment. So consistency is a massive issue with a club like Everton for the players that they've got and the money that they've spent as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Fulham Huddersfield. Mitrovic scored the stoppage time winner. Huddersfield poured forward to try and win the game. Would you say that's brave or naive?
From Huddersfield?
Yeah.
Brave. Yeah.
Because do you reckon they're just at that stage where they got nothing to lose now?
Yeah, how many points they got now, Huddersfield?
As it stands today, Huddersfield have 10 points.
10. They were, in a pretty barren position anyway, and I think you've got to go broke because 1 point doesn't really do that much for them, whereas 3 does.
Just put everything on red and go, yeah.
I would say at that point in the game.
I don't know. Part of me thought a point would have been okay. I know they want to win, but part of me just thought, just take the point. And when Sessegnon's running through, I can see him, he's lining up Mitrovic, and Mitrovic bangs home, and I'm thinking, why didn't you just fucking sit back and take the point? I admire the bravery, but the naivety is... You imagine all the travelling Huddersfield fans, they want to win, but they'd have been buzzing with a point from that as well, just to come away with something.
The point in, is it 92nd minute? So to lose a game that late on...
gut-wrenching.
Yeah, it's horrific, but I don't want to say they should have been sort of just throw caution to the wind and just went for it. But you can press high and still leave yourself cover. But they did go completely gun-ho, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that late in the game it's difficult to press high just due to the energy levels. And like you said, they just went... They didn't go rogue, but they kind of just went, okay, we're all in here. Yeah. Let's just try and win it. And they just got completely exposed.
What do you think about the controversy as well? The Kamara penalty?
Yeah, I was about to bring that up now, actually. Any Fulham fans out there, or anybody in particular that's interested in football, let us know about your opinion on that, because... Kamara just completely bypassed every single order that he was given and said, I'm having it.
Disrespect, that is.
Huge disrespect. And I don't even know the word I'm looking for. Disgust. That's what Ranieri was feeling. Disgust.
And I hope as well that he felt like a right fucking pillock afterwards.
Fair play to Mitrovic, though. He said, look, I want to take it. Ultimately, Kamara's like, no, I'm having it. I think he gave him like a little kiss on the head. Good luck, and the fans really took to that. They were like, "Oh, that's nice."
Well, what I don't understand is, yes, Kamara I think took the previous penalty. Was it against United? He scored the penalty. Didn't he?
It might have been, but Mitrovic wasn't playing though.
That's right? It. Yeah. So Mitrovic, as Ranieri said, was the designated penalty taker. Always has been and still is.
Yeah.
And just because he didn't play the last time that they had a penalty and Kamara scored it, Kamara felt like he had some God-given right, that it was automatically his penalty, and the responsibilities were passed on to him. How his head works like that, I don't know.
No.
And he was a little bit of a bastard about it as well. Because did you see him sort of, Mitrovic was trying to come up to him and talk to him and get the ball off him, but he was kind of really putting himself about a little bit.
Yeah.
And Mitrovic looked over to Ranieri as if to say, what's going on?
What do you want me to do, yeah?
And to be, like you said, to be fair to Mitrovic, he showed some good sportsmanship, but he said, well, look, if
he's a team guy,
there's no point arguing about it now.
That's a mature Mitrovic now, yeah.
If you've made the decision and you're going to take the penalty, then the best will get behind you.
Be an interesting fight, wouldn't it? Mitrovic and
I
Kamara.
back Mitro.
Would you?
I back Mitro.
I don't mind. Kamara,
Yeah.
he's they're both units, in fairness.
Yeah, I back Mitro.
That
every day.
Serbian killer blood that
Yeah.
he's got in him. Yeah, no, maybe
Just
he would
like the
actually.
ultras.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much it was a bad penalty. It wasn't the best, but it was a decent save.
Yeah.
But Mitrovic didn't half fucking bail him out.
Oh yeah, look, he owes Mitrovic about 1 million Christmas presents after that, because if they hadn't gone on to win that, Ranieri he'd be on a murder charge right now.
If you're
They'd killed
Mitrovic,
him.
you're thinking, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I'm the main G at the moment, because especially he's gone on and scored the penalties, but he's turned to Kamara and just gone.
Mitrovic has come out of that looking like gold, because he's been man enough to just give him the ball, wish him well, and score the winner. Like, that's a win-win situation. He looks compassionate, he looks effective, and the fans will love him
Like
for
Jesus.
that. Yeah, honestly, like the Fulham fans are probably so proud of him after that, because the old Mitrovic would have threw his head into the sideboards.
Yeah.
Probably would have battered him.
They've had a statue of Michael Jackson outside of Fulham football ground before, so they might as well just have one of Mitrovic now.
He's a good player. Like, he's a very good player, and Fulham, depending on what they do, even if they stay up, they'd be very lucky to keep him, because there's going to be a host of clubs that want Mitrovic. Next year is the year of the Euros as well. So if Mitrovic has a good Euros, I'm assuming Serbia will go, and as long as he's injury free, he will go. His stock will rise again, because he'll be right in the mix with Serbia.
Goals. Yeah.
So I imagine clubs would want to get Mitrovic in the summer rather than wait until the summer after, because price-wise it'll just inflate again. But excellent win for Fulham in the end. Huddersfield, let's draw a line under that, because there's not a lot to say. Yeah. Okay, cool. Chelsea Palace. We'll skim through this one quick, because there's not a lot to say. N'Golo Kante scored. Again, I mean, ultimately he seems to be bagging a few this season.
It's his third this season, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's his joint best ever return in a league season already.
Again, him playing slightly more advanced, I suppose you'd expect him to get a few more goals, but he's not a natural finisher, is he?
No.
He's a very good defensive midfield player. He's very good, I believe they call a broad water carrier. That's what they call him. Deschamps was a water carrier, Makelele water carrier, and then N'Golo Kante, for some reason they like that term. Again, I don't really like him in an advanced position, but I mean, there is some sort of justification Sarri can come back with now, saying, look, he scored again, but ultimately I don't think anyone really wants him.
How his goal scoring record maybe continues, because I still believe that he's better than Jorginho, back sitting a little bit more. But I think Sarri said that you're starting to see the benefits of it now. I don't want to go overboard on that at the moment, because if you look at the run for the goal, I know David Luiz set it up as well. The ball and the run and the goal itself are very, very good. It's great movement, and it's great attacking instinct from Kante, which isn't something that you usually associate with him. So, like, I'm with you now, and I'm not his biggest fan in that position, but the ability that he has, and as good as he is, I mean, he's still making something of it at the moment. Whether it's the answer for them long term, I don't know, but I'm sure we'll see. But he's got 3 goals at the moment. As I said, that's his joint best return ever, so I'm sure he'll get another goal at least this
I'd
season.
say he'd bag another few,
Another 3 or 4 perhaps. Palace, though, they didn't actually register a shot on target at home as well. That's the first time they failed to do that since March 2017. So
I don't think Palace will go down.
No.
But they're going to have a fight on their hands. Right now, Palace are on 19 points. Burnley are the top team in the relegation tier on 15. So, I mean, they're getting dragged into it. They're certainly not, and better sides than them have gone down as well. But it's interesting, isn't it, how a team that can contain some quality players cannot get a shot on target at home. I find that bizarre, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and Zaha at the moment, we give him a lot of credit early on in the season about how they were so reliant on him. But of late, he hasn't really offered a huge deal. Andros Townsend has offered more than Zaha has lately in some of the results that they've got. But you take that City result out of it, where they got an unbelievable 3 points there, which you'd argue they definitely shouldn't have. No, I don't mean as in terms of their performance, but you would not expect them to pick up points there. That's not one you circle on your calendar and think they'll get a win there. You take those 3 points away, and they're right stuck in the thick of that relegation.
100%. I mean, looking at the lineup they had, Max Meyer came on as a sub. He's a very good player. Zaha's excellent. Milivojevic is a brilliant player.
Van Aanholt's okay.
I like Van Aanholt as a left back.
And
Wan-Bissaka is a terrific right back. Sakho's a big money signing at centre half as well. They've got some quality there. Yeah. There's no way they should be playing at home and not having a shot on target. It's just, that's unacceptable. Whether it's a lack of effort or there's something going on behind the scenes, it's difficult to say.
Do you think a better manager than Roy Hodgson changes that?
Maybe Hasenhüttl. Maybe they need a younger dynamic manager come in. Maybe Hodgson is not getting the best out of them. You could make that case. I mean, we can certainly look at the previous results and say he just isn't doing enough.
Well, Hodgson's CV from years gone by isn't that bad, and he's done some okay things in his career. And he would say that maybe getting Fulham to the Europa League final is right up there. But after that, he didn't do anything good with Liverpool. Didn't do anything good with England.
No.
So he's not. It's not like I expect him to do better.
He's not known as an attacking manager either, is he? You've never gone, wow, that Roy Hodgson team really made me want to spend 40 quid on a ticket today.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got players like Townsend and Zaha and Milivojevic and Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, Max Meyer as well.
Van Aanholt. Even Kouyaté is not a bad player.
No, not
you would
at all.
think a better attacking-minded manager. Might bring them.
That might have to be the next step, because if they get dragged into that relegation fight and they do survive, heads are going to roll.
Yeah. Palace fans, let us know what you think on that one. Are you happy with Hodgson?
Most definitely.
And do you think it's time for him maybe to go or move on?
Yeah, I'd love to get some opinions from Palace fans.
If he was to go, who would you want to replace him?
Yeah, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Yeah. We'll draw a line under Palace for now. Like I said, get in touch with us, tweet us, get at us on IG, YouTube, all of that. We really want to hear off people. We'll go over Burnley, West Ham quick as well, and then we'll come to City, Southampton at the end.
Yeah.
West Ham are going away to Burnley. Should be getting at least a draw in my eyes. But, I mean, look, Dyche reverted back to 4-4-2. They were solid, they were energetic, they put themselves about, and they were good, yeah.
The first half especially, Burnley dominated West Ham. They had so many chances.
Yeah, I'm looking. Westwood was man of the match. In terms of shots, they had 17 shots to West Ham's 11. And they had one extra shot on targets. They had 5, West Ham had 4.
Yeah.
They really put themselves about. Even in fouls, Burnley had 15 fouls to West Ham's 11, which will tell you that they were getting stuck in.
Yeah. And even, you look at 5 shots on target, there was many chances or moments in the game, rather, where players were going clean through and it just lacked that little quality touch, which if they had the right touch, then you're looking at a goal, or you're looking at a proper goal-scoring position.
Yeah.
So just they need to be a little bit more clinical at certain moments of the game, and they'd have won that even more comfortably.
Yeah.
But that's a very, very good result, because West Ham have been decent. They've been really decent lately. Felipe Anderson won at the races. Andy Carroll had their only real good chance.
Andy Carroll.
Andy, the best target man in the world, apparently.
Andy Carroll,
and it was actually with his left foot.
Really?
That he created the...
I don't remember Andy's appearance in the game from the highlights I saw.
He did have a very good header, which drew a massive save from
Heaton. Was it Tom
Heaton?
Yeah,
Tom Heaton. Yeah. A very good save, Tom Heaton, as well. But apart from that, West Ham didn't really have a great deal. Like you said, you'd expect them to get at least a point. Like you also say, this is the reason why you don't bet.
I refuse to bet. I deleted the Sky Bet app because I can't handle the pressure anymore. It's too full on. The games like this wreck my weekends. If I've got an accumulator on and I put that down, and Felipe Anderson has just scored 2 world-class goals, I'm thinking this guy's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's not even worth the hassle anymore. But yeah, big shout out to Dwight McNeil as well. He became the first ever teenager to score a Premier League goal for Burnley. Merry Christmas to him and a Happy New Year, because
19, is he 18?
yeah, he's 19, and that's a hell of a Christmas present. That's the stuff dreams are made of. So yeah, shout out to him. Burnley, great win. West Ham, just draw a line under and move on to the next one, really, isn't it?
We know West Ham are going to be more than fine. I think they sit, was it just out of the top 10?
They are, let's have a little look.
11th.
Yeah, 11th, yeah.
So they're going to be pushing for that top 10, possibly top 8. Burnley are in a bit of a relegation scrap at the moment, so that 3 points for them will be massive.
Yeah.
And I think they've won 2 of their last 3 home games now, whereas they'd struggled to string any sort of away home form together this season so far. So if this... hopefully this is a bit of a positive sign for Burnley at the moment. They can
most definitely. Yeah, shout out to Burnley. Moving on to the last game, City and Southampton. Now, there was a slight scare where at one point I thought this might not go City's way. The wheels are starting to fall off, but then they had that little bit of luck with, I think it was the own goal. Was it off Ward-Prowse? Sterling put in the cross. And Aguero then bagged as well, and it just, the whole thing caved in for Southampton. But Southampton can come away with that. They wouldn't be disappointed as a Southampton fan. I mean, realistically, like I said, it's a game where they're not expected to get anything, so it's a free hit. Yeah, and they acquitted themselves well. They should be proud of themselves.
They can hold their heads high from that one, because when they got back into the game very well, I think it was it Højbjerg?
It was excellent finish as well.
Very good goal, and. As you say, it took a little bit of luck. The Sterling, call it the Sterling goal. It was more an own goal, isn't it? Ward-Prowse own goal.
Yeah, it's very unlucky actually. Yeah.
And up until that point, they looked a little bit ropey, and it was 1-1. And you were kind of thinking, is this really going to happen again? You know? And we talk about Thursday's game. If City want to get anything from that game, and they'll be desperately wanting 3 points, they need to play a damn
They need
that.
to be on their job at that.
They need to be on form and on fire on the day, because playing like that, they're going to get completely overrun by Liverpool. But credit to Southampton. Yeah, they've had the results, the last couple of games may have not gone to plan. You wouldn't expect them to get anything from this game anyway. But even when they're losing games now, they still look a better side. And they look like that they can actually go on to do something when they play the lesser sides now as well, that they're going to pick up the points, whereas before in the Hughes you wouldn't expect them to get
you wouldn't
anything.
have backed them at all. They have that intensity in their game now, and it's just like a renewed sense of optimism around Southampton, which I think in fairness is justified. The new manager's come in and he's done very well so far. Having a quick look here, Southampton's starting XI had an average age of 24 years old. So again, it just goes to show you that there's potential in that side. In terms of Højbjerg, he is the first Danish player to both score and be sent off in a single Premier League game. There you are. Didn't know that either.
Not even Bentner managed that.
No, well, he probably tried multiple times. He's still in jail right now. Free Nicholas Bentner as well, by the way, because I know he's doing time in Norway, isn't he? So
smacking a taxi driver around.
Yeah, he's probably the big dog in jail though, so he's probably very comfortable there anyway. But the City, 3 points standard.
They needed that.
Yeah, come away, draw a line under it. Same as West Ham. Draw a line under it. Go again next week. And take it from there. That's about it in there. But yeah, that's it from us. The one thing I just wanted to go over very quickly, I saw a thing on Twitter about the funniest moments of 2018, or the funniest footballing moments. If anybody has any, tweet us and let us know. Mine was the Michy Batshuayi, where he hit the ball against the post and it came back against his face in England, Belgium. That was my funniest one. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's fucking hilarious. Make sure you go and see that, because for some reason he just gets it in his head that he's going to smash the ball. I think he aims to the side net.
I just remembered that image as well.
And it comes back and clats him in the face. It's great. But yeah, that was mine. I know other people picked Karius in the Champions League final. There was the Iranian player against Spain. He does the tumble toss and he does the throw, but he doesn't actually do the throw. Other people picked that as well. So yeah, let us know your funniest moments as well.
Bringing it all back now.
It is. Yeah, we want to know. But thanks again for tuning in, gang. Me and Becky will be back
very quickly.
Or go on.
We can't really call it player of the weekend, but
player of that round of fixtures.
Yeah.
Ooh, who have you got?
I have gone for Firmino, bit of a cop-out, really. But
that is a cop-out. I'll go Pogba then, because he did play very well, actually, in fairness. All right, cool. Pogba, Firmino, players of that round of fixtures. We will have the New Year's fixtures that we record in Friday.
Friday, yeah.
So they should be out this Saturday. Well, we'll try and get it done for Friday night. But they should be out Saturday morning, I imagine. And we'll have a few IG clips up as well along the way. So remember, follow us on IG. It's on Twitter as well. It's exactly the same. So it's at VMB Podcast. If you want to listen in audio format, you can go on SoundCloud. Download it on iTunes as well. Feel free to subscribe. You'll get content directly to you. And same with YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get us every other week directly to your device, be it phone or laptop or anything else.
And if you've got a friend as well, who loves football and doesn't know about the VMV podcast, then pass on the message as well.
Yeah, feel free to relay the message publicly to everybody you know. And hit the notification bell as well, because ultimately the video will come straight through to you and you'll be able to get us at your beck and call. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all had a good new year. We will be back next time. Take it easy, gang. Ciao.